Hi, welcome to the Witch House. Pull up a chair, have a sit, and let's chat. So, I am kind of doing a VR to Emma over at Walking My Path. If you don't know Emma, you should. She's a delightful woman and she's got some great content, tarot, witchy, and yeah, and she's just starting out. So give her some subscribers. Anyway, I'm going to link Emma's YouTube in the description below. But Emma put up a video today about the dark goddess and personified deity. And she mentioned that there's not a whole lot out there about, specifically personified deity. And it's true. I haven't seen many videos, but I have seen the topic discussed within other topics or within live chats. And so you really don't know that the topic has been discussed unless you were present when it was happening. So it's not something, unfortunately, that you can always search for on YouTube and find. So I saw Emma's video today, and it just really inspired me to do this video to her, the VR, because my situation is very much like hers. And I've been practicing for about 38 years. I started when I was about 16 or 17, and I'm now 55. So, yeah, a long time. And during the majority of that time, sincerely, up until 3 years ago, my practice was simply God or Goddess, source. It wasn't even source, it was always God or Goddess, because I came into this witchy path through the way most people did back in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, was through Scott Cunningham and Wicca. And so with Wicca, I learned, of course, that there is a god and a goddess and duality and all of those things that go along with it. And, Scott Cunningham says you can name a god or a goddess from whatever pantheon you want to follow. It's completely up to you. But I could never find anything that really felt right. I was always drawn to Egyptian, but it just didn't feel right calling in those gods. I was also drawn to Celtic, but it just felt weird actually calling to a god or goddess. And so for many, many years, my practice was god and goddess. That was it. No name, no nothing. Until 3 years ago when my mother died. And at the time, I was caring for her through her illness, her chronic illness. And I was caring also for her husband, my stepdad, who was 15 years older than she was. And so he was at a very advanced state of age. He was in his high 80s. And I had a lot on my plate. I was working. I had my Andy, who was looking after our house. And I had a lot going on. And when my mom passed away, nothing stopped. I had a couple weeks off of work to deal. I was still taking care of my stepdad, as none of his children stood up to help or anything. And Andy was doing his best, but I was still trying to be the strong one. And then one night it happened. I couldn't handle it anymore, and I just cracked. And I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried. And I let all of that built up emotion, frustration, and everything out of me. And I felt so much better. It was like a huge weight had been lifted. So that was my first teaching on grief. Feel your feelings. Let them out. Even if nobody's there, you still need to let them out. Even Baker agrees. But anyway, it was that night I went to bed because, of course, after a huge cry like that, you are physically, emotionally, and spiritually exhausted. And so after that huge release, I went to bed that night and I slept soundly. However, in the middle of the night, I woke up screaming the name Kwan Yin. Kwan Yin, Kwan Yin. And in my dream, and I rarely dream, or if I do, I don't remember it. But this was vivid. I was falling. I was free falling in this massive abyss that I didn't know where I was, and I just started screaming Kwan Yin. No idea. I woke up like I said, screaming Kwan Yin. Fortunately, my stepdad, very hard of hearing, so didn't bother him at all. But I laid back down and I was like, who is Kwan Yin? So I fell back to sleep, and when I got up the next morning, I started researching Kwan Yin. And I was like, oh my God, she exists. She really exists. And I could not get enough. I didn't feel like I could get close enough to her. I read everything I could get my hands on about her and in her life and how others view her. And I bought Kwan Yin pendants, and I have a Kwan Yin mala set, and I have Kwan Yin incense and tea, and I mean, I went all out. I just could not get this woman off my mind. And she was the comfort and compassion that at the time I couldn't get from anybody else in grieving my mother's passing. Not everybody likes to talk about death before or after. It's a hard subject. And I had nobody to go to. So Kwan Yin came to me. And it was the most profound transformation I think I've ever felt or ever had. And since then, I consider her my deity. And I don't think of her as just energy. To me, she is a celestial being. She is someone I can look at who has a human form and talks like me, and I can have conversations with. Or there are times when I was in bed and I could literally feel her holding me in a compassionate hug, in like, relax, I've got you, relax, it's okay. And yeah, that changed my mind significantly on the idea of personified deity. Not only that, but well, I don't know how much it has to do with it, but I have discovered that I'm an animist, and I always have been. Everything has meanings to me, whether it's a rock or a pencil or a pen. Um, Everything, I think, has life to it in some way, shape, or form. But Kwan Yin, for the last 3 years, has been beside me every single day. And of course, the first thing I did was build an altar to Kwan Yin. And it started small because that's all I could do at the time. And it has now grown in size since then. Shortly after my big transformative journey with Kwan Yin, I get something else coming at me. And this time it feels masculine. And because I was seeing lots of animals. Animals were calling to me from different places. They would show up in some way, shape, or form. If it wasn't a book, it was on TV, it was on YouTube, it was outside, it was, somewhere all of these animals were coming to me. And I thought, oh, what's up with this? What's up with this? And I tried to I love animals, all animals, except maybe snakes. But I love all animals. I'll talk to you all. It's great, but I'm not sure I'm ready for what's going on here. This went on for a little while, and I'm getting goosebumps just talking about this, actually. But then it happened. And you know what? I tell you, deities like to really get your attention. I don't know why it is that when we feel these feelings, we're not like, okay, let's go. Whoever you are, I'm working. Let's go. No, we're like, I don't think I want to do this. I don't think I can handle this. I don't know who you are, kind of deal, right? Yeah, so I'm driving home at night, and I swear to God, a deer ran out in front of my car. And I briefly hit the brakes and swerved a little, and then I looked around, and there's nothing there. Absolutely nothing there. And when I got home, I was so shaken up by it. I actually had to sit in the car for a few minutes and clearly think about, all right, what just happened to me? And what had just happened to me was Cernunnos had had enough. And he says, damn it, I'm right here. So I was like, holy shit, and then the process started over, and the research, and the things that Cernunnos finds pleasing. And yes, so I now work with Kwan Yin and Cernunnos. Are they of the same pantheon? No. But I'm finding out that really doesn't make a difference. It doesn't. They come to you when you need it, and there's something there for them to teach you. I almost look at it as a mentorship kind of partnership. I don't revere them as in, oh, great Cernunno, so great Kwan Yin. It's not like that. My relationship with them is more of mentor-mentee. And I'm learning a lot, not only about them, but about myself, and making what I feel are changes that I should be making. And with their help, I've been able to make these changes in a much less painful fashion than had I been thrust into the change with no guidance or anything there to steer my direction. And so that is my story of personified deity, and how now in my practice I welcome Kwan Yin and Cernunnos into all of my workings. So there you have it. If you guys have any questions or would like to do a VR to Walking My Path, Emma, please do. I would love, like I'm sure Emma would, to hear of everybody's experiences with or without personified deity. How do you work with deity? Yeah, so with that, I send you much chakra love, and I will see you on the next one.